In this video, I'll reveal the simple tech stack that I've used to create several SaaS products with a combined user base of 200,000 users. I've relied on this same tech stack for the past 2 years, and it cost me a little over $65 a month, and it allows me to handle everything solo. Now, let me show you the exact tech stack that I've used to achieve these results. So for frontend, I'm using React.js, which is a very popular JavaScript library for building modern component-based single-page apps. It is super easy to get started. It's very simple. For UI components, I'm using Material UI, which is an open source React component library that implements Google's Material Design's best practices and guidelines. For example, if I want to add a button, a card, a form, or a dialogue, I don't have to build these components from scratch. I can just use Material UI's pre-built components and add that to my project, which increases my productivity by a lot. And to style my projects, I use Tailwind CSS. I believe it's the best. It's way better than regular CSS because you can add way more styles with fewer lines of code than regular CSS. It makes it very super short and concise. And then I package everything up with Next.js, which is a React framework that comes with server-side rendering built in. It's SEO friendly, and it helps with image caching, page routing, super easy to build and create fast and scalable web apps. Now for the backend part, I'm using Next.js serverless functions. With that, I can just add one file in the API folder, and that creates an API endpoint up and running without me having to create servers or manage servers, like no installation or no resource allocations, no cold start problem. Next.js kind of takes care of all of that, which is very nice. And for database, I'm using Firebase. Just like Next.js, Firebase is owned by Google, so they take care of all sorts of problems that you might run into, when your app grows. So I don't have to worry about creating my own instance and scale that horizontally and vertically. I don't have to worry about that scaling problem. Firebase just kind of take care of all of that for you. So that's very nice. And for payments, I'm using Stripe to handle one-time payments, subscription, and other forms of payments. So I just use Stripe for handling one-time payments and subscriptions. So now for hosting, I'm using Vercel. I use Vercel to host all my projects. The reason why I use Vercel is because they have this integration with GitHub. So anytime I push my changes to my GitHub repo, Vercel automatically pulls these changes, with their CI/CD integrations, and all my changes, and they deploy that to production. And it's very nice. It's very helpful. So I don't have to worry about starting up the server and making sure pushing all the changes. So I don't have to worry about that. Vercel cost me around $20 to $40 a month, which is very nice. It's worth every dollar. It's a little pricey though, not gonna lie. And then I also use AWS S3. It's a huge bucket where I basically can host pictures, images, files, and it's distributed all over the world. And with that, I also use CloudFront, which is a CDN, content delivery network. It helps load images faster, files faster on my websites. So that's what I use for hosting. So for analytics / monitoring, I'm using Google Analytics. It is super easy to get set up. It's a little bit more advanced what you can do with it. You can run a lot of ads and all sorts of cool features you can do. I also use Plausible for some projects. It's $29 a month. You can see real-time people on the website, where people are coming from. You can do the same stuff from Google Analytics too, but it's super easy to get set up with Plausible as opposed to Google Analytics. So if you want to add a quick analytics, just go with Plausible. It's super easy to get set up. For debugging purposes, I use the development logs on Vercel development logs to catch any sort of bugs within the application. And now there are some apps I use for productivity. These are extras, I call it. I use ChatGPT-4 for any sort of brainstorming ideas, copywriting, and all that stuff for my projects. And then I also use coding GitHub Copilot / Cursor to increase my productivity in terms of writing production-ready code. So those are all the tools I use. Here's the thing, guys. There's one thing I learned is that the tech stack you use doesn't matter. Customers don't care about the tools you use. What matters is that you pick one tech stack, you stick to it. Look at a popular solopreneur on Twitter, like Levels. who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from his project. He uses PHP, no fancy libraries or frameworks, just consistent and reliable tools. It's like learning any new skill. The more you practice with the same tech stack, the more skilled you become and the faster you can launch. The sooner you launch, the quicker you'll attract customers. Alright, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below what other videos you want me to make. Until then, I'll see you soon.